In this episode, we announce the results of a remote viewing session that took place in January 2024. On February 8th, 2024, the Ezekiel Project published the results of the remote viewing as a theory about the image in the Dendera temple, which everyone previously assumed was an early light bulb. However, Ezekiel, the pseudonym of the 2024 remote viewer, came to a completely different conclusion. Before we continue and you learn the results of the remote viewing session, I would like to ask you to subscribe to our channel and support us. Thank you very much. And now, enjoy the new insights.
What we thought so far. In the vast and mysterious landscape of ancient Egypt, where colossal monuments rose from the golden sands and the Nile breathed life into a civilization of unmatched grandeur, there lingers a mystery that has captivated both scholars and dreamers alike. Beyond the well-documented achievements in architecture, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy, there exists a fringe theory that suggests the ancient Egyptians may have harnessed an early form of electric light, long before the recognized invention of the incandescent bulb by Thomas Edison and his contemporaries in the 19th century. At the heart of this mystery lies the Dendera temple complex, particularly within the crypt of the Hathor temple. Carved into the stone walls are a series of unusual reliefs, images that have become the epicenter of the so-called Dendera light hypothesis. These enigmatic carvings depict what some interpret as large bulb-shaped objects, each held by figures and connected to what appears to be a cable or filament extending to a box-like structure, thought by some to represent an energy source. The most well-known of these reliefs shows a serpent emerging from a lotus flower encased in what resembles a glass bulb. Mainstream Egyptologists argue that the images are deeply symbolic, representing aspects of Egyptian mythology, specifically the creation myth, with the serpent symbolizing the god Hassomtus rising from the lotus, a symbol of rebirth and creation. Yet, alternative theorists suggest something far more technologically advanced, an ancient light source, perhaps functioning on principles akin to a Crookes tube or early cathode ray tube, which could emit light without combustion. This theory raises a cascade of questions. If the Egyptians did have access to electric lighting, how did they generate the electricity? And why are there no physical remnants of such devices? One speculative answer comes from the discovery of the so-called Baghdad battery in Iraq, ceramic pots containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod, which some believe could have functioned as a primitive galvanic cell. Though these artifacts are not Egyptian and their true purpose remains uncertain, they fuel the idea that ancient civilizations may have experimented with basic forms of electrical power. Proponents of the Dendera light theory often point to the pristine condition of tomb reliefs deep within pyramids and temples, hallways and burial chambers where no soot or smoke residue has been found on the ceilings, walls, or statues. Since torches or oil lamps would logically leave some trace of combustion, this absence has led some to speculate that an alternative, non-soot-producing light source may have been used. However, scholars respond that highly polished bronze mirrors could have been employed to reflect sunlight deep into interior spaces, or that careful maintenance and ventilation prevented soot accumulation. Despite the lack of concrete evidence for ancient Egyptian light bulbs, the notion persists and thrives in alternative history circles. It is a narrative born not of scientific consensus, but of wonder, a desire to believe that ancient people were not merely precursors to modern ingenuity, but perhaps participants in a forgotten age of brilliance. The reliefs at Dendera, with their mysterious shapes and esoteric symbols, remain open to interpretation, and in the absence of definitive proof, the human imagination fills the gaps. Yet the true marvel may not lie in whether the Egyptians possessed electric light, but rather in the fact that such theories arise at all. They reflect a broader fascination with the capabilities of ancient cultures, peoples who, without modern tools or technologies, erected monuments aligned with the stars, performed complex surgeries, and recorded astronomical events with a precision that still astounds. In a sense, the Dendera light is not merely a question of illumination, but of enlightenment, about how we view history, how we connect with the ancient world, and how we balance the fine line between evidence and interpretation. whether it is a myth, a misinterpretation, or a mystery yet to be solved. The story of the ancient Egyptian light bulb continues to glow faintly in the corridors of human curiosity, inviting each new generation to peer into the past and see not darkness, but a flicker of impossible light. This theory prompted my curiosity to conduct a remote session based on an original photograph. What emerged from this session initially unsettled me, and I had to check with technicians to see if such a result was even possible. They told me it was entirely possible under certain conditions. I will now describe to you in my own words what emerged from the remote viewing. The object the man is holding in his hand, shaped like a light bulb, is actually a thin ground piezo crystal plate connected to a power cable. To simplify the presentation, the plate was shown from above on the women's heads, as otherwise one would have only seen a line and the snake would not have been visible. The snake symbolizes the ups and downs of a vibration, a sound that the people who had the crystal plate placed on their heads could perceive. To amplify the vibrations, clay or wooden vessels were placed between the head and the plate to give the vibrations more resonance and thus convert them into sound. But where did the vibrations come from? In the northern shaft of the Great Pyramid is the so-called Gantenbrink Gate, which also appeared in the remote session. Starting from the two openings in the stone slab, two parallel copper wires ran, held at equal distances by wooden plates. The parallel wires reached an apparatus in the chamber below, from there into a vessel, and from there were passed on to the piezoelectric plate. The piezoelectric crystal ultimately converts the voltages or electromagnetic oscillations into a perceptible vibration. I heard the sound that the women, I believe they were priestesses, perceived. It was a wave-like, deep humming sound. To give you an impression of what it sounded like, I tried to imitate the sound as best I could. Later research revealed that a pile of copper wire from the pyramid had gone missing. However, this copper scrap never led to an official record. If you know more about this copper scrap, we would appreciate hearing from you. It was allegedly stolen and sold as scrap. The Dogon, an ancient tribe in Africa, depicts the sound with a so-called bull roar. A shaman swings the bull roar, a flat piece of wood about 20 centimeters long, on a rope above his head in a circle. The piece of wood thus imitates the sound of Sirius. With these impressions, I would now like to leave you. I hope some of you enjoyed this video or this result. I look forward to seeing you again next time. See you then, your Ezekiel.
Thank you for watching our news. I'm Miva, a female cyborg, and I'll guide you through the unknown. If you'd like to support the work of the Ezekiel Project, subscribe to this channel and ring my bell so you never miss a video. On this channel, in addition to the news, we also feature reports on remote viewing and close encounter sessions conducted by the Ezekiel Project itself. If you'd like to discuss the topic, post your opinion in the comments. If you stay objective and contribute to the topic, we'll be happy to respond. We're searching for the truth, and I'd be delighted if you join us. See you then.